Good afternoon, everybody. It's been a minute since I came on since my last lap band to gastric bypass revision update, with good reason. Well, not good, but with reason. I have made several notes, and it has taken me this long to make this video for several reasons. I will try to be as brief as I can and give you all the details of what has happened. But I will say that visiting this section of my brain is hard because I went through hell for the past 2 months, and I will explain what happened, so I'll just get into it. So for my last video you saw, I had the lap band to gastric bypass revision done at the end of January. And my last video, I think I was 2 weeks post-op, somewhere in there, I believe. Up until I was, I don't know, almost 6 weeks post-op, I thought and felt like everything was fine. I was operating as normal. I probably skipped ahead on a few steps, mainly like 5-hour energy drinks and wine, probably sooner than I should have, but we'll get to that. And cut to, so I had my surgery January 26th or 27th. Cut to St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. I'm at work. I work in an elementary school, and I'm taking a drink of my iced tea I think I had that morning, and I felt like it kind of backed up, like I was waterlogged, like I needed to go throw up just a little bit of it, like I drank too much too fast. So I go to the bathroom and I throw up, like I'm thinking it's just going to be iced tea, and I notice that it is blood and my iced tea. And then all of a sudden my body starts to feel really sick, like it hit me really, really fast. I felt really nauseous. I felt like I was going to shit my pants and throw up at the same time, which is super fun. Mind you, I'm in a staff bathroom where no one knows where I am. I didn't even have time really to say to anybody except for the lady I was sitting next to that I need to go to the bathroom really fast. So only one person really knew where it was. So I pull a trash can over and start to throw up. And when I say I throw up blood, it's not like blood was in something, like no, it was just me throwing up blood. And then as I proceeded to go to the bathroom, number 2 style, it was blood as well. So you can imagine at this point I am freaking out because I have blood coming out of both ends of my body. My hands started to seize up, I think because I was getting ready to pass out, and I was losing blood, and I started to shake. So I, at this point, was down on my knees and crawling to the bathroom door to open the door to get someone's attention to get help. And we have a school nurse, so I yelled for someone to get the school nurse. The nurse comes in, sees me throw up blood again, and she says, "Honey, I don't want to scare you, but you are bleeding internally and we need to call an ambulance." From that point, I don't really remember a lot. I think because I was just either in shock or I don't know. So they call an ambulance to our school, wheel me out, and at this point, after the blood has exited, I start to feel a little bit better. Like I come to, they have my feet above my head, trying to get me to not pass out, all that stuff. So they ask where they want to take me. Like the ambulance says, you're steady enough right now. Do you want, have a hospital preference? And I said, well, I'd really like to go to the hospital that I had my surgery at, because if something's wrong, I need to go there, which is about 20 minutes away from where I am. Mind you, there's a hospital down the road, but I am thinking, like, if something's wrong, I need to go where I can be fixed. So I go to my surgery center hospital, and I am kind of, I don't want to say briefly looked at, but everyone there is kind of like, well, you're already feeling better. That's weird. Maybe it was just an esophageal tear, and you're probably fine. Go home the next, I think I was released like the next morning. Go home, and if anything happens, of course, come back, but it's probably just, you drank too much water or too much tea too fast, and it kind of tore something in your esophagus. So I'm like, okay, cool. Casey was coming in town, and like the next day, And so I was so focused on wanting to be okay and feel okay that I was like, yeah, I want to go home. I'm fine. I want to go home, which is stupid, but I was excited, Anyway, so she comes in town. Not even 24 hours of her being here. I am at home that night, and we're just taking it easy because I felt really weak and exhausted, and I just looked pale. And sure enough, I was at home getting ready to go to bed, and I started to feel sick again. And the same thing happened again. I started to throw up blood and have blood come out in my stools. And when I say it came out in my stools, it made my stool look like, sorry if this is TMI, but I would want to know this if I were a gastric patient or going to be a gastric patient, just to know what to look for, because I had no idea any of this could happen, would happen, did happen, all that. It looked like a very dark maroon stool with blood as well, and the blood coming up was just fresh blood. So my husband, I yelled for him to call the ambulance, and I remembered what to do from what the nurse told me, so I put my feet up, laid on the floor, and tried to pull my pants up, save some dignity. And ambulance came, hooked an IV up to me. Couldn't really read my blood pressure because they said it was too low, so they take me to the hospital. So at this point now, the surgeons, I've got their attention. They're like, okay, maybe this is not an esophageal tear because you're back, and that's really quick. So they look into it. I'm reading my notes, sorry. They do a scope to go down and see if they can find something, and they do. They find that I have a jejunum ulcer, I think is what it's called, more or less where they created my new stomach pouch, and they connect your small intestine to your new stoma. In that incision area, I created an ulcer. A couple things to mention with that. At this point, it's between, I think, week 5 or 6 post-op, and I probably, at week 4, started having my normals of 5-hour energy drinks, wine here and there. However, there's a medicine prescription that I was supposed to be taking called Protonix, which is like an acid and ulcer reducer. I thought, which was my bad, that it was supposed to be taken if I was experiencing acid reflux. Well, after surgery, I didn't feel any acid reflux, so I wasn't taking any acid medicine. So, a couple things. Not taking acid and ulcer reducer, plus having 5-hour energy drinks, plus having wine, all that acidity created an ulcer. Now, I'm not saying that all that is the main cause, because I could have gotten one regardless. A lot of people have them happen. There's like a 4% chance. Lucky me. So, I got a jejunum ulcer, I think is what they say. So, while they did the scope, they saw the ulcer, they clipped it, cauterized it, whatever, and said, that should take care of it, you should be fine. So I was in the hospital for a few more days. Casey spent her entire vacation here playing mother to my child and wife/nurse between my husband and myself. Not the vacation she obviously expected, nor myself, and I hated to see her go because she was so much help. And I'm sure it maybe scared her as well, because she was getting ready to go into the revision process as well. So I get released, I go home, and I am trying to think here. I got it clipped, solderized, blah blah blah, cauterized, whatever, and they send me home. And not even 24, 48 hours later, it happens again. Mind you, all these times, all these things that are happening, luckily, my husband and or Casey was home with me, because had I bled out and my hemoglobin got so low, I think the outcome of this would have been a lot different. And that's, I think, what scares me and why I don't like to access this part of my brain of my past in the past couple months, because it terrifies me to know that something this serious happened. And luckily I had someone home with me to call 911 and get an ambulance. The very last ambulance ride I had 4 total. They couldn't even get my blood pressure to read, nor could they find a vein to do an IV. And they said they weren't even giving me a choice of what hospital I wanted to go to. They took me to the nearest one. So I get to the nearest hospital. They give me 2 bags of blood, and they register my hemoglobin at 4.6. Apparently for a woman, you're supposed to register between 12 and 16. I was at a 4.6. So my husband says to the doctor, oh my gosh, like, God, what is 0, dead? And the doctor says, no, it's actually much higher. She's here. We're going to give her some blood. That's terrifying. So my husband, of course, was terrified. Luckily, my family and my husband's family are all very close by. So someone always had, my daughter, and my husband stayed with me as much as he could. But obviously, we have a daughter. So it was a fucking nightmare. So at this point now, with my third admittance to the ER, now I'm in ICU. They say, we don't understand. We've, seen the ulcer. They did another scope. They said the ulcer looks better. So I don't understand why you're still bleeding out. And I'm like, P.S. I don't either. I don't really enjoy taking ambulance rides. I'd really like to not have this happen, like, ever again. And you're probably thinking, were you regretting this decision of lap band to gastric bypass? With, like, every breath I took, I was hating my life and crying and just so... Mind you, I had such low blood. I was exhausted. I was tired. I was terrified. It was just the lowest of lows I could have ever been. So I stayed in ICU for a couple days, and the doctor said, we just don't understand because we did a scope. Your ulcer looks better. I'm like, I don't know. They're like, well, let's put you down on a regular room floor and just see if it happens while you're here for shits and giggles. I'm like, okay, cool. They wheel me down to a normal level room of the hospital, and I am not kidding, within about 15 minutes, an episode happened again. I felt sick. I went to the bathroom, threw up blood, shit out blood. They rushed me back to ICU. Surgeon comes up and he's like, okay, here we are. We are actually going to have to do a revision to your new gastric bypass. We're going to do a revision surgery and cut out a chunk that has the ulcer and make your pouch even smaller. And we're going to do that tomorrow morning. And he's like, it makes me nervous to do that just because, I'd rather not. I'd rather have time for that ulcer to heal, but apparently it's still doing something in you that I can't see, so it needs to come out. So it's terrifying because I want my surgeon to feel 1,000% sure that it's going to be okay because I'm nervous that it's not okay. And so I had a revision surgery of my gastric bypass. They took out the ulcer. It was a longer surgery. My surgeon came out and updated my family and said, it's a very small pouch now because we've had to go in and take out even more of her already small stoma and blah, blah, blah. So I stayed in the hospital for an additional 2 weeks. I had a feeding tube, drain tube, so I didn't actually have physical food or liquid go in my mouth for a week to 10 days, I believe. And then they finally started to put me on the clear liquid diet. They wanted enough time to heal with taking the acid and ulcer reducing medicine while I was in the hospital with all that. They wanted it to heal without me messing it up with putting stuff down my throat. So, sorry, you can see my dog back there. And mind you, this whole time I'm there, I'm on pain medicine, so I'm feeling like, man, I'm feeling fine. Like, this is great, da-da-da. Cut to, they finally decide to release me, to send me home. They want me to keep the feeding tube in for an additional 6 weeks just to, as a preventative, if you will. Because at this point, I have now had 4 ambulance rides, 3 ICU visits in a matter of 3 weeks, 2 weeks, if that. So I was under very close supervision, if you will, home life and hospital life. So I come home and I just felt this overwhelming case of anxiety and fear, and I didn't know what it was and what was wrong. And after talking to my surgeon about it, it turns out it was PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I believe, which I didn't even know was a thing that you could get from this. I always associated it with, people who come home from war, and while my body was fighting a war, that's probably why I felt that way. So I am now 7 weeks post-op revision, if you will. And because of all that, I am down 60 pounds from surgery. While that's exciting, don't get me wrong, I love that I'm 210 pounds now versus 270 when I had this surgery. My highest weight was at 316, so I do like seeing 210. I don't like how I got here. I don't like that it was a lot of feeding tube stuff, if you will. So yeah, it took me a while to make this, because every time I even started to think about what all happened, I didn't want my brain going there. It was too dark, too much, too fast, just too much. So I am 7 weeks post-op. I have not had wine. I have not had 5-hour energy drinks. I am trying to follow all the rules. I am taking my medication. I am being a good bariatric patient, and checking in with my surgeon very regularly. I think I just got dismissed to like finally a 6-week appointment. Like, I've been going like every week or 2 weeks since I got out of the hospital, because I've kind of seen it all in the past 2 months. So yeah, so going forward, I will come back and hopefully have better and better updates as they go. But that is what has happened, and yeah, it was not fun stuff. All that aside, seeing 210 on the scale is very exciting, because I'm finally cleared to work out again. I just saw my surgeon a few days ago, and I'm cleared finally to work out. And I'm so weak, however. I'm weak. I have spent 2 months down and out, like in a hospital gown. So I just need to get some endurance built back up so I can feel good enough again to work out. Because right now, if someone said you need to run around the block, I'd be like, that's cute and funny, but no. So I'm gonna work on that. I really, really, really miss 5-hour energy drinks and wine, but you know what? I also don't miss hospital gowns and feeding tubes and bleeding out both ends of my body. So you win some, you lose some. But beyond that, as of right now, everything is going good, and I hope it continues that way. And hopefully my next update will be nothing but like rainbows and butterflies, like, yay, I lost weight and I'm working out and I didn't bleed, yay. So there's that. But hope you all are well, and sorry this was so long, but it was a long book to write, so what are you gonna do? Anyway, that's all I have. I will check in with you guys later, but as of today, again, down 60 pounds since surgery, down 106 pounds from my highest weight. I will take it. I'm terrified of losing my hair, so I'm trying to eat my protein, get my water. The only rule that I can't stand, that I just can't follow, is straws. I love straws, and that's how I get my fluid in, so I'm a rule breaker on the straws. So sue me. Anyway, until next time, hope you guys are well. Take care.